2 weeks ago, the handsome young man to whom she had said, "I do," 40 years ago, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. The numerous specialists could do nothing more. Her husband had a month to live, possibly more, probably less. Allison sucked in one last breath of crisp night air before the water engulfed her face. If only the bastard had possessed the courage to take his vile secret with him to his grave. But no. He'd had to confess his sins. He'd had to plead for her forgiveness. She wasn't like the others. She couldn't go on knowing this awful thing, and she damned sure could not forgive him. The idea of muddling through another single day with this new weight on her heart was unimaginable. He had stolen the very reason she had bothered to go on at all. Allison stopped holding her breath and welcomed the rush of death. 2. Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, October 28th, 2:30 a.m. The simple definition of fear, according to Merriam-Webster: an unpleasant emotion caused by being aware of danger, a feeling of being afraid. Bobbie Gentry hadn't felt that emotion for her personal safety in 309 days. It wasn't that she no longer sensed danger or felt afraid. She did. The sense of danger that haunted her was always for the welfare of others. As a detective with the Montgomery Police Department, she encountered plenty of opportunities to fear for her well-being. Cops felt the cold, hard edge of fear on a daily basis. But it was difficult to fear death when all that mattered most in life was gone, and the small steps she had dared take toward building a new one had been derailed. A psychopathic serial killer known as the Storyteller had murdered her husband and caused the deaths of her child and the partner she loved like a father. Nearly a year later, she had learned to some degree to live with the unthinkable reality. And, wouldn't you know, along came another crushing blow. A second serial killer had devastated her life all over again. A fellow cop she dared to keep close was brutally murdered a mere 2 days ago. His killer had left a message for her. "This one's just for you, Bobbie." The same killer almost succeeded in taking the life of her uncle, the chief of police. Bobbie sucked in a deep breath. How did she muster the strength to keep going? Revenge? Justice? She'd gotten both. The world was free of 2 more heinous killers, and still it wasn't enough. The expected relief and satisfaction came, but the hollow feeling, the emptiness, remained her constant companion. But there was the tiniest glimmer of hope. A fragile bond had formed between her and the man who'd helped her stop the 2 monsters who had destroyed so many lives, including hers. The development was completely unexpected, but, surprisingly, not unwelcome. Nick Shade had given her something she'd been certain she would never again feel: the desire to live for more than revenge, for more than merely clipping on her badge each morning. Now he needed her help, whether he would admit as much or not. Those who knew of his existence called him the serial killer hunter. Nick was unlike any man Bobbie had known: brooding, intense, impossible to read, and yet deeply caring and self-sacrificing. At 21, he had discovered his father, Randolph Weller, was a depraved serial killer with 42 murders to his credit. Since ensuring his father was brought to justice, Nick had dedicated his life to finding and stopping the vicious serial killers no one else seemed able to catch. Like Bobbie, he'd stopped feeling much of anything beyond that driving need for justice a very long time ago. Maybe that was the bond that had initially connected them, the thin, brittle ties of utter desolation and desperation. 2 broken people urgently attempting to make a difference that neither of them could completely define nor hope to quantify. Yet they'd found something together, something that felt real. Whatever they'd found had gone up in smoke 3 days ago, when Randolph Weller escaped the Atlanta hospital treating him for an alleged heart condition. Nick was determined to do whatever necessary to find him, including risk his life. Since